So you are you're younger than Kamala Harris, but in the same generation. You're an attorney. You're from San Francisco. You first ran into Kamala Harris in 2003, 21 years ago. You know everyone in her orbit. You live in the same world. And so with less than a month to go before the campaign, I thought it'd be interesting to hear the perspective of someone who actually knows a lot about Kamala Harris's life. Don't seem to be many of those. So thank you for doing this. Who is Kamala Harris exactly?
Well, you see the words comma, chameleon, and, nicknames like that applied to her today.
Yes.
And she really has been kind of a shapeshifter throughout her entire career and existence. Growing up in Oakland to 2 university professors as a small kid. And then after a divorce, her mom took her and her sister Maya to Canada, where she went to high school and then started college there. Yeah. And then she, came as almost an adult to the United States and went to Howard University and sort of immersed herself in that culture of the predominantly Black college. And then she came to San Francisco, where she went to Hastings in the Tenderloin area of San Francisco. So educationally, she's kind of traveled all over the United States.
But she spent her high school years in Canada.
Yeah, she spent her high school years in Canada and, not in San Francisco. And so I think one of the interesting things that I found when looking at her background is the first time she registered to vote was at age 29. So
really?
Yeah. So many years after coming to the United States, and during the year that she dated our former mayor and speaker, Willie Brown, is the year that she registered to vote. And so connecting the dots, it seems like that might be the time when she decided that politics is in her future because, she began to create a voting record and setting down roots at that time. But she hadn't registered to vote before she was There's no record of her having registered to vote until she was almost 30, which is it's kind of an important thing. So well after she became an attorney, well after she became a prosecutor, she hadn't registered to vote.
Well, that's interesting. 11 years after she was eligible.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
And that's interesting, not because everyone has to vote, in my opinion, but because she's described herself repeatedly in public as a child activist.
Yeah.
She was basically leading the March on Washington. She single-handedly desegregated the American South.
Right.
She was always into politics.
She was a warrior for freedom. Early on. And
there wasn't, just for the record, there was no segregation. In this country. She was annoying as a child.
She was a activist as a child, according to her mom, but then, didn't exercise the most basic form of United States citizen activism by exercising the franchise until much later in life. And
after she was a lawyer.
Okay. So starting around age 29, again, when she moved to San Francisco, she started dating the mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown. And
while he was mayor?
While he was mayor. And he had been the Speaker of the Assembly. He was maybe the most powerful machine politician in Democrat politics. Willie Brown and John Burton ran San Francisco. They had a political machine, and to win election in that town, their stamp of approval was necessary. And they really had not a complete control, but they were the most formidable bloc to get ahead in San Francisco. So they kind of approved who got to be on the Board of Supervisors, who, really ran for all these different positions and handed out patronage jobs in the city. And so, the fastest way to ascend in politics there is to be tied to the coattails of Willie Brown. And so, she did that. And I don't know
more than tied to the coattails.
She
was sleeping with him.
She dated him. Yeah. That's how he describes it. He is still married at the time. And so he's 90 today, but he was married throughout this time that he was together with her for 2 years. Okay. And so they were a society couple. They went to all the operas, ballets, black tie events very openly. And, I've met Willie Brown several times. He just, it's not disputed that he gave her start in politics and almost certainly encouraged her, hey, maybe you should register to vote. That might be a good start. Something that's designed to give her something to talk about if she runs for office. And so So for 2 or 3 years, she spent her time there at the city attorney's office. Again, by the way, all on the, public employment. She's never had a job in the private sector.
Ever?
And so
Kamala Harris has been living on taxpayer money her entire
career. That's correct. She's never had a private sector job. Now, let me pause for a second. While she was doing some of these jobs, she actually was doing multiple jobs on paper, because Willie Brown, one of the positions that you get access to when you're the speaker, and then you pretty much continue to have a lot of access to over the years, is the ability to appoint people to patronage jobs. And so before he, kind of left the speaker's office, he was able to appoint her to one of 2 commissions. So she was on a taxpayer-funded commission called the Unemployment Appeals Board. And so you hear appeals of denials of unemployment benefits. That's a cushy part-time job, which pays almost $100,000 salary. You show up a couple of days a month. And then he also got her appointed to a second sort of part-time job, very part-time, a couple of days a month again, called like the Medical Assistance Commission, which was dealing with Medi-Cal contracts and appeals over that. And so over the years that she was taking a salary as first an Alameda County prosecutor and then a San Francisco County prosecutor, she earned an additional over $400,000 over a 5-year period from these low-show / no-show jobs. He also got her a BMW as a gift. And so
Willie Brown gave Kamala Harris a BMW?
He gave her a BMW, and he got her these extra hundreds of thousands of dollars of jobs. And to give you some perspective, the salary of a prosecutor around that time was about $100,000. So she basically got double or triple what her colleagues were getting. So imagine the morale in the office when your person sitting next to you is also dating the mayor and also is making hundreds of thousands of dollars more than you because
and getting a free BMW.
So she was marked out as privileged in her 20s and 30s very early on. And that allowed her to leap over the career hurdles that those of us who work for a living in the private sector have to actually earn.
Yeah.
Right. And I think she's had to face these criticisms over time, and she's become very glib and good at deflecting the criticism. But I don't think it's disputable that the extra income and, more importantly, the patronage that she enjoyed in her 20s and early 30s made her the person who's, the vice president of the United States today and seeking the top job. Not merit, but influence peddling and using her female wiles.